Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Growth Center, where we discuss all things growth. Today, we are discussing Chapter 2 of my new book, Pain in the Soil, Growing from Pain into Purpose. I do want to start off with a small introduction before we move forward. Chapter 2 is titled Hostile Soil. Hostile soil, inhospitable earth, toxic for plant life. Did you know that certain conditions render specific parts of the earth infertile? While plants may still grow on this toxic turf, growth is often stunted, offering brittle and rotted branches. The very same can be said for our souls when the seed of trauma is planted within us. Distress from the occurrence of trauma causes anguish so great that anything we produce moving forward is hostile and tainted. Pain in the soil, trauma buried deep, rendering us fruitless. So, in this chapter, it kind of reveals why my title of the book, why I chose Pain in the Soil. It's really the pain in our souls. From the introduction, you know that I liken the process of emotional healing to that of the growth process in plants. So, certain parts of the earth are considered infertile. And I know it's kind of backwards. Well, if it's infertile, why can't it still produce? But it's not that it can't produce, it's just that what it does produce is produced to die. It's not firm. The branches are brittle. Branches are actually grown and they rot. It's just not hospitable turf. So the same can be said for our souls. When we have trauma that occurs in our life and we just bury it and we go on throughout life and we make up our own excuses or our own reasons to not heal, or figure out how we can move forward positively through the situation, it gets buried so deep that maybe we forget about it. Maybe we don't think about it as often. We may think that we've just successfully dodged the bullet of not having to deal with it at all, and we can move on throughout life. But if you look in your behaviors, if you look at the things you send out, if you look at the way you look at the things that are sent to you, you may discover that your soul is toxic. Your soul is hostile. And that is a result of the trauma that is buried into your life for some time ago. Maybe it happened in the past, maybe it happened recently. But if you do not take the time to sift through that trauma, to really heal, anything that you send out is going to come from that place of hostility, hostile soil, your hostile soul. My personal experience was abuse. So the abuse happened and 10 years went by. I was okay. I didn't say anything. I thought I just successfully dodged that pain without having to take the pain head on. And I was wrong. When I started looking at my behaviors, the way I handled people, the way my trust issues, my anxiety issues, all of those things were trauma laced. And it came from not dealing with the pain that was buried deep on the inside of me. And if you look at some of your behaviors, you may discover the same thing. I call it, in the next video, we'll go into the branches of trauma. Branches of traumas are the things that we send forth based off how we are in our soul, the conditions of our soul. But this video, the hostility of your soul, it doesn't necessarily mean you're angry. It doesn't necessarily mean you're bitter. You could have a hostile soul and not show it at all. All it means is the things that you send out are trauma laced because they come from a place of pain. I know a lot of times we say, oh, I'm better for this situation, or I'm a better person for having gone through what I did. But are you really? Are you really a better person? Because trauma, when it happens, it should make you employ wisdom. It should make you more wise. It should not prevent you from doing anything per se. So say use an example of your trauma being an abusive relationship. That relationship should teach you to be more wise in future relationships, things to look for, ways to carry yourself. There's just different things along that line. It should not prevent you from getting into another relationship, period. So it shouldn't be fear when you say, okay, well, I've moved on from this situation and I'm just not going to get back in it again. Fear should not be the bottom line for that. It should be wisdom. So you may get back in another situation, but you're going to employ wisdom based off what you went through in the last situation. That is successfully recovering from trauma. Now, when you let that trauma stay and it's buried deep, you get what I like to call in my book hostile soil or hostile soul. Ways that you can do you have an attitude with people for certain reasons? Do you not trust people? Do you treat people a certain way just based off just random things. If they look at you or if they say key words, that's all an example of having hostility down in your soul from a past occurrence that you still have yet to heal from. And like I said, these first couple of videos are going to be builder episodes. We're really going to get into the meat as we move forward. So we talked about the introduction, and I talked about how trauma is likened to a seed that's planted into the ground. The trauma is planted into your life. And now we're talking about the hostility of how that, what that seed is promoting inside of you. If you're doing the right thing and you seek counseling and you seek better ways to move forward, then you're going to get more wisdom, and that wisdom is going to produce fruit. So like I used the example of a relationship, you're not going to forego relationships altogether. You're just going to have certain signs to look for. Now, if you let that trauma remain and you remain hostile down in your soil, then moving forward is going to be fear. So you might tell yourself, oh, I'm not going to get in a relationship with anybody ever again, or I'm not going to get in a relationship with anybody that's this color. I'm not going to get in a relationship with anybody that's this size. That is all trauma laced. So really identifying the trauma that is down in your soul. You may think that you're just being wise and you're moving forward and you're just preventing situations, but if you cannot tie it directly to wisdom, if you cannot tie it directly to things that you're going to look for in a person to prevent going through things in the future, hostility may be at your core. Hostility is, I promise you, hostility is at your core if you haven't just dealt with the trauma itself. So say your trauma was abuse and it happened in your childhood, and you just went on, you grew up, you're no longer a child anymore, so it's not going to happen again, and you've moved past it. I guarantee there's hostility in your soul somewhere. And if you look around at your actions, at the things that you're doing, yeah, you may not be a mean person, you may be a wonderful person, but really examine your attitude. Really examine the way you treat people. Do you have fear? Do you have anxiety? Are you running around fearful or scared because of your fearful that the same thing is going to happen to people that you love? That's all coming from a soul that harbors hostility from the occurrence of trauma. And one thing that you really have to do is you really have to identify it. And it's not always the easiest thing to do, because like I said, sometimes we just move forward. The trauma happens to us. That's not going to happen again. No, I don't need any kind of counseling. I don't need any kind of therapy. I don't need anything. I'm just going to forget it ever happened. That is the most dangerous thing you can do, because it covers it up. And you just keep going on through life, and then more trauma is buried. Because life, things are going to happen. You're never just going to have just this joyous, amazing life. I wish, but there are going to be tests and trials sent your way, and they're sent your way to make you strong. But if you're adding those tests and trials on top of soil that's already hostile, and it's just a cycle of just, at the bottom, you have hostility, and then you got trial. That hostility isn't going to do anything but keep growing, and you're just going to be a big old mess, and like I was, until one day it's like, okay, I can't keep going. My anxiety got too bad, my anger got too bad, and to the point where I was waking up in the middle of the night. But it was everything I was trying to hide down on the inside of my hostile soul. So as always, thank you so much for tuning in. I know this was brief, but I really do hope you got a lot from it. Like I said, these first couple of videos are just builder episodes. We're going to get into the meat as we move forward. So, hostile soil. The things that we carry on the inside of us that make us hostile, that make us bitter, that affect anything that we send forward. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let's discuss in the comments below. And what made you hostile? If you've now moved forward from trauma, what made you hostile? How did you recognize it? Did you first move forward in life and, didn't discover it until later? Or did this occurrence just happen and you're realizing, okay, I am hostile because I do this and this isn't normal? Let's share so that we can help each one teach one. Maybe someone isn't realizing until you maybe post a comment about it. It's like, oh, I do deal with that. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.